I have dealt with anxiety for as long as I can remember. And in 2023, I had a dental injury that ended up leading to chronic body-wide head-to-toe nerve pain. And my nervous system was not equipped to handle it. It sent me into an anxiety and OCD spiral like nothing I had ever experienced. Insomnia, health OCD, somatic OCD, anxiety, looping thoughts, and now pain. And all of that led to dealing with severe suicidal ideation. I couldn't bear the thought of having to battle my body now after so many years, 20 plus years of battling my mind and my brain. I was in such a bad spot that I ended up in a psych ward for a week straight. I considered that to be the ultimate rock bottom for me. And I'm fine now. In fact, I'm more than fine. I am living my dream life. The anxiety is gone. The insomnia is gone. All these chronic symptoms are gone. So in this video, I am going to tell you how I got my life back and why it's the complete opposite of everything I had ever been told. My chronic anxiety and recovering from it required something different than everything I had learned and accumulated in my mind over 20 years. I had to stop all of the healing practices. I had to stop all of the tools. I had to stop all of the appointments and the professionals that claimed to have the solution to anxiety. And I tried them all. I had to withdraw my attention completely from anxiety and redirect it back into my life. I had to be extremely anxious and then return to living life as normal. I had to do things before I was ready, walking, working out, being social, working. And my nervous system learned it was safe by watching me live, watching how I experienced my life. It did not heal by being worked on or being fixed. And it was interesting because as I stopped pouring so much of my attention and energy into anxiety, it just slowly lost its grip. So here are a couple things that I need you to understand if you want to actually recover once and for all. The healing work itself feeds the cycle. This is so challenging to understand when you have that anxious brain. And it's important for me for you to understand how much I actually tried. This was not for a lack of effort. I tried everything I heard of. I talked to everybody. I did every appointment. I did every therapy. I checked my hormones. I checked my thyroid. I took supplements. I did psych drugs. I tried psychedelics. I did ketamine therapy. I did IFS. I did EMDR. I couldn't even go through everything I had tried. Like, imagine 20 years of trying to fix this problem, to fix this anxiety with a major focus that sounds warm and cuddly. I need to heal. I'm just focusing on healing right now. But healing and focusing on healing was actually what was keeping me stuck. And every time I focused on healing or focused on the next thing to try, I did a really excellent job at signaling to my brain and to my nervous system that there was something to fix, that there was a problem. And unfortunately, the message that gives the brain is it reinforces the fact that your brain is going to send more anxiety symptoms and more sensations and more things for you to deal with, both in your mind and in your body. I don't think there's enough emphasis on the issue with efforting your way toward a solution when you're dealing with anxiety. You never feel like you're doing enough. You always feel like there's more that you could be doing. There's always this layer of shame that you're not doing it right or you don't want it bad enough. And so we're constantly pushing with this strong intention to make these feelings go away, with this underlying energy that I can't live like this. The second thing I had to do that goes against everything that I had been told was I had to stop trying to figure out why I was so anxious. This was so hard for me because I was always living in my head. I was always trying to figure it out. And then when you have health OCD or somatic OCD, where you become very hyper-focused and hyper-vigilant around everything your body is doing, it has you analyzing all of these symptoms. It has you monitoring what your body is doing. Again, it has you feeding more and more attention into the thing you don't want to be experiencing. Attention was a big thing, and anxiety has you with really fixed attention toward whatever it is you don't want to be experiencing. So the more I tried to investigate everything that I was feeling, the more I tried to understand where it came from, dig up my trauma, the more evidence I provided to my nervous system that there was something seriously wrong. So for me, understanding The why behind my anxiety didn't calm my nervous system at all. In fact, it gave my brain more material to work with. It gave my brain something new to hyper-focus on. I was so impressed that it was always changing directions. It was always changing its focus. It was always anxiety, but it was a question of where that anxiety was being directed that day. What was the issue to solve? I remember a time when my husband said, Maggie, there's kind of always something. It really stopped me one specific time where I thought, oh my God, there's always something. As soon as I solve this problem, a new problem pops up. And I was becoming this professional problem solver because that's where I was pouring all of my attention and all of my energy. Why is this happening? Why did it start? When did it start? What's the root of it? What can I do to release this anxiety? I think there's a common recommendation in the anxiety world to go inward. And that may help when you first start getting anxiety. There may be some type of event that causes you some anxiety, and it may help to understand, what's going on here. But I need you to understand the difference if you're sensitized. If your nervous system is sensitized and you don't know, you can take my quiz. But if you are sensitized, we don't want to be turning inward all the time. We do not want to be figuring out where did this come from, because at this point it's gone on so long and so chronically that it's no longer occasional anxiety. It doesn't actually have a root cause. It doesn't have a specific thing to find. The system is just living in a state of chronic dysfunction, which is what my anxiety turned into after so many years. The most important point that I can really drive home is that most recommendations out there are to keep your attention on the anxiety. That's not exactly what everyone is saying, but with what they're teaching you to do, with the tools they're telling you to use, those tools are putting focus and attention on this thing that you don't want to experience. And so for me, the message was pretty consistent. Understand your anxiety, get to the root cause of it, heal your trauma, and then keep that nervous system regulated every single day. And that advice kept it as the center of my world for 20 straight years. I was thinking about it constantly. I was so aware of everything my body was doing. I was so aware of any potential threat in the future that I was constantly troubleshooting for it. I was figuring out how I would solve this specific thing if it happened. In any situation I was in, I was looking at what could be the worst case scenario here. If I decide to move, what's the worst case scenario? If I pull my kid out of this school and put him in another school, what's the worst case scenario? Everything felt terrifying to me. And that's because I lived in the world of anxiety. It's all the content I consumed. It was the only thing I focused on. I read every book there was to read on it. And yet I never came across the tools that actually helped me to heal. So one of the main things that I had to shift in order to get my life back from anxiety is I had to take my attention off of the anxiety. So that was off of what I was feeling, off of what I was thinking. I had to disengage from the anxious thoughts. I had to pull the attention away from what I was feeling in my body, feeling sick to my stomach, the chronic pain symptoms that I was experiencing. I had to decide that I was done being a professional in the world of anxiety, that I didn't want to live that way anymore. And the actions that I had to take to recover were things that I had never, ever heard about before. I had to begin accepting the situation that I was in. I had to accept that this is where I was at right now. I didn't have to worry about how I got here. I had to allow whatever I was feeling to be there. That doesn't mean ignore it. That doesn't mean distract from it. And that doesn't even mean sit with it and feel it. I had to just let it be there without feeling like I needed to get involved or to change anything. And most importantly, I had to give up the quest to make my anxiety go away. There's one question that I get on TikTok that is one of my favorite questions to get, which is, how do I make this anxiety go away? The reason I love that question so much is because it is so reflective of what I love to teach, which is I can tell you the problem by your question. You have to stop trying to make it go away. You have to stop living as if this anxiety is something that can't exist here. The fighting is what has kept it alive. And we need to know that. We need to know that the fighting and the resisting we do by frantically trying to make it go away is what strengthens it over time. Because nerve cells that fire together wire together. And all that means is when we keep focusing on the same thing and panicking about the same thing and pouring so much attention into that thing, in this case, anxiety, we are strengthening those circuits in our brain. That's why it is so important to finally take your attention off of it and put put your attention back into your life and taking this anxiety and these symptoms with you right over your shoulder and getting back into your life and not waiting until you feel healed or you feel like your nervous system is recovered in order to re-engage with the things that you shrunk away from. I'm talking working, I'm talking socializing, I'm talking joyful activities, nature, the things that are actually really restorative, especially to a system that has been drained by a life of anxiety. That's why this was also opposite of what I had been told for so long, because there was always a new thing to do for your anxiety. It was a new supplement. It was like, have you tried ashwagandha? Have you gotten your estrogen checked? Have you done this breathwork program? Have you hopped in the sauna? Have you dunked in a cold plunge? There were all these things. And the focus of those things was making them work for your anxiety. And what does that mean? It means, did the anxiety go away? Did you finally successfully find something that you could use in those moments that made the anxiety leave? And what I'm inviting you to do is the polar opposite of that. Stop looking for a tool to make your anxiety go away. Stop thinking there's going to be some hack that just instantly eliminates that anxiety. Anxiety is eliminated through a changed response. Choosing to respond to that anxiety differently than you ever have for as long as you've been dealing with it. Reducing the panic, recovering from the chronic fear, and letting the anxiety turn down on its own. Forcing anxiety to go away is like forcing yourself to sleep. It's something that can't be forced. It's something you can't make happen. It's something you have to allow to happen on its own time. For 20 years, I got the message both explicitly and kind of sneakily that if I wanted my anxiety to go away, I needed to work on it harder. I needed to just find the right tool that was going to make it go away. But the moment I stopped all of that was when everything changed for me. And it took rock bottom for me to get there. And I hope that it doesn't take you rock bottom to get there. If this video resonated, I encourage you to subscribe. I talk about this stuff all the time on my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.